As you study and analyze the emergency management system and disaster management in the United States, and specifically how it's transformed over the last 50 years, understanding that evolution really begins with one critical observation, that as a discipline, or more specifically, as an applied interdisciplinary science, emergency management is relatively young in the United States, and it's very much an evolving science. 50 years ago, our emergency management system was highly fragmented. It was a very response-centric model based in the Cold War model of civil defense. And it wasn't until Hurricane Agnes in 1972 that lack of coordination really came to the forefront and called for some changes in the system. In 79, the Federal Emergency Management Agency was created, and for the first time we had one central agency really responsible for coordinating disaster response, recovery, and mitigation. And this shifted that institutionalized focus to more of an all hazards type of approach. And recognizing that the same core structures could apply whether the threat was a hurricane, a flood, or an earthquake. Operationally, there was a much wider acceptance and adoption of the Incident Command System, ICS, that was originally a wildfire management tool. And then the establishment of emergency operations centers at every level of government really brought to the forefront how coordination was critical to successful disaster response. In the 90s, hazard mitigation was brought into the conversation, and there was a real push for local hazard mitigation planning embedded with risk reduction in the system. Mutual aid compacts and clear federal, state, local coordination frameworks emerged, including the National Response Framework that we've talked about and its emergency support functions. It was the terrorist attacks of 9/11 in 2001 that fundamentally reshaped the whole architecture of emergency management. FEMA was folded into the newly created Department of Homeland Security, and that blended disaster management with terrorism preparedness and critical infrastructure preparedness. The National Incident Management System, or NIMS, was introduced in 2004, and that really standardized ICS nationwide and made its use mandatory for agencies seeking federal funding. In recent years, the architecture has gone beyond command and control to really embrace resilience and equity and community engagement. FEMA's whole community framework was recognized that government alone, including government alone really wasn't the whole solution to the problem. It included local governments, nonprofits, businesses, faith-based groups, and the public as integral components. New tools such as GIS and real-time situational awareness and social media monitoring have really made the architecture more networked and integrated and adaptive. And finally, there's a growing recognition that this architecture must serve equity. Disasters expose and amplify structural injustices. The modern system must address not just hazards, but the conditions that make communities differentially vulnerable. So the key takeaway is that over the past 50 years, it has seen the U.S. move from a fragmented, reactive, hazard-specific architecture to integrated, all-hazards, multi-level, networked, and resilient-focused system. It's exciting that you're entering into this field at a time when so much is changing. We're in the middle of a lot of conversation about changes to the existing architecture, and you'll be a part of that conversation. It's exciting. But whether we're talking about changing threats or technologies or values or politics, as future leaders, you are the ones that are going to be part of that new architecture of the future. Use your imagination, reimagine how we can evolve as a society to better protect and defend our communities from any type of disaster.